Before we get started with today's episode, a little warning. Guys, this is an R-rated podcast. Please don't listen with the kiddos present. We will probably
definitely
say something inappropriate for tiny ears. Hello, and welcome to Smart Women Read Romance, a book review podcast where we fangirl over all things romance. I'm Jessen.
And I'm Juliette.
And today we'll be reviewing The Hating Game by Sally Thorne's much talked about debut novel. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. And please rate and review us. Juliette and I would love to hear from you. So follow us on Twitter at SWReadRom and on our Instagram and Facebook pages, where we post updates on our upcoming episodes. So, got that good wine tonight.
I know.
Oh no, it's
We're
going down too fast. Okay, so originally we wanted to do this podcast and we drink wine every time.
Right.
We got totally drunk the first time we filmed episode 0.
Episode 0,
we were like, what?
A wee bit tipsy.
Oh yeah, if you haven't listened to episode 0 yet, just go back and
we
you
sound
can
a little
tell.
manic and insane. It's
I was
because we're
yelling a lot.
Yeah, we're teetering on wasted.
We're on the wine again tonight. I don't know what'll happen. You'll just have to stay tuned and see.
We apologize now.
I don't apologize for nothing. No, I'm just joking.
All right, so what have you been doing?
Oh
What's
my
going
God.
on?
Okay, so I wanted to talk to people about this because I know other people besides me are obsessed with things like this. And recently I was telling Juliette, I was looking into our family history and on ancestry. And I found so many cool things. It was insane. I got so excited. So Juliette is my aunt. She is married to my uncle, and I was looking on that side of the family, and I found the coolest thing ever. So my third great-grandfather immigrated here straight from France, which may not seem unusual because we're in Louisiana, and it's like, oh, well, Louisiana has a ton of immigrants from France.
Right.
Well, most of them came in like 1750. That was whenever the Acadians in
Right,
Canada,
that's the Acadians from Nova Scotia, not
from
directly
Nova
from
Scotia.
France. Right.
Yeah, they immigrated from France to Nova Scotia for like 100 years.
And then were kicked out.
Yeah, because they're siding with them French against the English.
Yeah.
Anyway, rebels. That's what we descend from, rebels. But
Go figure.
So they came over here. So it was surprising to see someone a little bit more recent. And what makes it even cooler is I found out his name was Emmanuel Scholl, and he is from Paris specifically. And he used to be an organist at Notre Dame.
It's like the coolest thing.
It was mind-blowing. It was in his
ever.
obituary. And one of the priests suggested that he come to Louisiana, specifically Thibodaux, which I'm just like, he went from Paris to Thibodaux, which it's hilarious. But anyway, and he was a music teacher here. And I thought that was amazing.
Is so awesome. Oh yeah, Kevin was like super excited when I told him.
I'm so glad that I told him about that.
He's a history teacher, guys, so
yes.
He was super intrigued.
It was amazing. You know what I found really funny while looking on Ancestry?
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting really frustrated because I'm like, oh, well, these have to be different people. Name spellings are not consistent at all.
Yeah.
They are differing. And also, like, the census, people are always writing in cursive. And so I think that's whenever it gets mixed up as well.
Yeah.
But I am, like, down the rabbit hole of Ancestry. And I also ordered my DNA kit because I wanna get that level of Ancestry down, you know? Got to get that extra. So I'm waiting on that, which will take a couple months.
And I've done a little bit of research myself. And my mom's side, they had a genealogy book. Speaking of names being changed, you know, like when people come to America or whatever.
Yeah, you had a crazy find, didn't you? You told me about this.
Okay, I have 2 cool finds. One is that my ancestors on my mother's side came from Jura, Scotland, which is just totally badass. And we all descended from the Celtic tribe, the Bruide. Okay, I'm totally like fucking up the Gaelic, but it's Bruidhe. I'm gonna have to ask somebody how you actually pronounce that.
Yeah, ask Becca.
But when they
Maybe
came
she'll
here,
know.
obviously no one here could pronounce it, and it was changed to Buie, B-U-I-E, which was...
That sounds like very Cajun.
Yeah. I just found that they had landed in Cape Fear, North Carolina. They were in that area, but for some reason, my ancestor ended up in going down the Natchez Trace to Mississippi. And I'm like, why the hell would he go all the way down to Mississippi? Like, what was the big draw? And basically, he had like 12 siblings. They had all gotten property and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Was he one of the younger ones? He was getting butt kissed?
He was like one of the youngest sons. He got the family still. So,
a wine distillery, beer distillery.
I don't know. I guess the Scottish really value their family stills. It must have been important. But he had no land, and so there was land down in Mississippi, and that would explain why.
Who wants to settle down in this swampy,
they're going trying to find
wilderness.
I know. So I thought it was funny. I was like, that makes sense.
Come down here, make some moonshine. Everyone loves moonshine.
Yeah.
So.
It's in my blood. I can't help it. See?
God, I want some moonshine now. But I really should not. We should do a podcast where we're drunk on moonshine.
Oh, I know somebody who makes homemade moonshine.
I do too. We know a lot of people down here who makes moonshine.
This is Louisiana people. There are lots of home distilleries.
I had this apple pie moonshine.
Oh yes, what? I've had like a cinnamon apple one, which was pretty amazing.
That was probably around the same flavor profile as me. Okay, let's get back off of alcohol, guys. We
already we're digressing.
We're nuts. We're so nuts. Okay, so let's just stop talking about us because he wants to hear about our craziness, and let's jump right into this love-hate fest of awesomeness and discuss the hating game, because who does not love this book that has read it?
Oh my God.
Like, if you don't like this book, something's wrong with you. I'm just joking. I respect your opinion.
But I
respect your opinion if you don't like it, but I just don't understand it. Okay, so tell us a little bit about it.
All right, so The Hating Game is a single POV book with one of my favorite examples of hate to love ever. I seriously, guys, cannot wax poetic enough about this book. I could go on for hours, but I'll try to rein my crazy back in just a little bit.
We'll try.
Because I did go.
No promises, though.
Yeah, I went a little insane when I first read it.
Yeah.
Sally Thorne combines the perfect amount of sweet, sexy, and funny with this couple.
She really does.
Yeah, and I literally love Josh Templeman forever.
Forever.
Ever. Okay. He is mine.
If you haven't read it, you won't get it. So go read it.
So good.
So how did you discover this book again? Because actually Juliette recommended this book to me, which is very
the crazy thing is for me, and I'm an author, so I'm always looking at what my friends are reading. And so many of my friends were reading it and posting it on Goodreads, and I'm like, okay, all these authors are reading it and all these other readers are reading it. And
so basically peer pressure brought you to this
I was
book.
like, okay, what's the big fucking deal? I want to read it and I don't want to be like ousted in the, yard.
Yeah, I'd be like, you haven't read The Hating Game?
You haven't read The Hating Game? What's wrong with you?
Can you call yourself an author?
No. So
I'm taking away your author card because you don't know what The Hating Game is.
Exactly. So I was feeling like lesser. So
peer pressure,
I picked it up.
Kids don't give in to peer pressure unless it's about books. Then give in.
Who recommended it to you, Jessen? Who was that?
You did.
Yeah.
No, seriously. She was like, Juliette heavily campaigned for me to pick up this book. No lie, she was practically manic after reading it and insisted that I had to read it now. Yeah. Guys, I was a little scared for my life. I was like, I will read it. I was like, I will do it. Okay.
I was like, no, now. Why don't you have it?
And I was like, put away the crazy and I'll read the book, I swear. So I did, and holy shit, was she right? I was in love with these characters, and I couldn't believe that this was a debut novel because it really doesn't happen too often where I'm like, the first book hit all the right spots. Sometimes it takes a little bit of, figuring out what kind of writer you want to be in and what kind of people you want to write. And she just
blows me away.
She really did.
Like, I was like insane. Like, oh my God, why isn't everybody reading this now?
I became the crazy lady recommending these books to everyone.
I know. Like, here, read it. Have you read this book? Have you read this book? Like, stop what you're doing now.
I'm like doing frisbee with the book, like to random strangers.
Yeah.
I'm like, read it.
You need this in your life.
We're normals. That's what we do.
Totally normal.
We're totally normal. So, if you haven't read this book, please go read it. And if we haven't lost you by now with our crazy, if we haven't scared you off somehow with all of this talk, let's start talking about the stars of our show. So I'm going to start off with Lucinda Hutton, and only Josh calls her Lucinda. And if you want to be like Josh, you will also call her Shortcake. So she's a pint-sized ball of sunshine with a wild hair and love of red lipstick, which I totally relate to because I love red lipstick as well.
Yeah, me too.
She prides herself on being liked and has trouble saying the word no because she wants to be liked, so she doesn't want to disappoint people. Just sad. I'm like,
I can totally relate to that too.
I do too. So she loves her job as the executive assistant to one half of the dual CEOs of Bexley and Gammon, which was a recently merged publishing house.
Right. The only person that Lucy has a problem with is being nice to is Josh Templeman, or Joshua, as she calls him for the longest time.
Joshua.
He is the executive assistant to the Bexley half of things and the bane of her work life.
Oh, yeah.
He is very straight-laced to her quirky. He is uptight to her easygoing, and enemy numero uno when it comes to proving who is better at their job. And, of course, her nemesis in every game in the office.
Oh, every single game.
Yes. I love all the games. So their hate for each other is well known around the office. Like, everybody knows they despise each other, even though they have to work, like, feet apart. And there we have it. That's our two characters.
Woohoo! Okay, so now we get to the fun part, or at least what I consider the fun part, because I like to get into spoiler details, like, all the time.
Now it's on.
So if you have not read this book yet, please go pick it up and then come back and listen to us and laugh with us, because this book is super hella funny, okay? So this is your last warning. We're entering the spoiler section. No turning back now. Okay, we're in the spoiler section, and as always, we're going to start with our showdown, where Juliette and I pick our favorite scene from the book, and you get to weigh in on who you think has the better favorite scene. We'll post this on our social media.
Yep.
So,
okay.
Am I going to go first? You're going to go first?
I'm going to go first today.
Oh, you're going to go first
Yeah,
today.
I want to go first.
Oh.
Because
you must have an ace up your sleeve. That's why she wants to go first, guys.
I do, because this scene was a scene where I was like, this is one of the best fucking books I've ever read after I read the scene. So my showdown scene is the morning after the wedding breakfast, when Lucy...
Oh, the morning of the wedding breakfast.
Yes.
Okay.
That,
like, after the wedding.
After the wedding.
Having breakfast.
Morning after. That sounds like...
It's the morning after, guys.
Morning. And it was a morning after, by the way.
It was. Okay, but anyway.
Okay, sorry. I digress. Anyway, so yes, it's the morning after the wedding, and they're at this breakfast, family breakfast, where, of course... Anthony, the douchebag dad, just tears into and just demeans Josh over and over again. And this was his biggest fear. Like, we'll go in more into it later. But basically, she stands up for him in the coolest, most epic scene I have ever seen in a book.
Oh, yeah. She basically tears him in, you asshole, and then mic drops.
Yes.
Like, she's like, we're done here.
She's like, I know your son better than you do. You don't know anything about him. Let me fucking tell you about him. And then she just like...
is a freaking great scene. I was super impressed with her, especially since her character was like I'm the nice girl and I don't want to upset people. And she was like,
she did not like confrontation.
Are you messing with my man?
Yeah.
Like, wait.
I know. And I think that's why I loved it too. It was like a scene of ownership.
Her time to be protective of him.
Yes.
You know? And I really like that. I agree. That is such a good freaking scene. Damn. Okay, so I'm picking a scene toward the tail end of the book, and it's actually... sounds a little bit cliche, but it is the I love you scene at the end.
Yeah.
Like, whenever they finally confess, it's literally in the very, like, in, like, the 92% range.
Yeah.
And I just find it was such a lovely way for them to confess their feelings, and it didn't feel just like, oh, this is the, token I love you. It was very adorable, because Lucy's realizing how much that she feels for him, and it's really like love, and she's kind of overwhelmed by it. And I like that. I like that she was uncomfortable with how much she felt for him, and she like almost wanted to hide. And like Josh already knew this about her, and he's like, no, you're coming in here. I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with you. And then she's like hiding behind her like hands, and she's just like,
literally trying to like, you can't see me,
right? And he was like, oh, I know what's going on. She's like, no, you don't. And then they're just like having conversation. Then he's like, yeah. And then like he's like, well, that's whenever I first fell in love with you. She was like, whoa, what would you say? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, you love me. And he was like, yeah. And she was like, no, but I love you. I felt it first. And
it was me.
Like, no, it was me. I'm telling you it was me. And she was like, prove it. And he was like, okay, what's my favorite color? And she's like, well, robin eggs blue. And he's like, yeah. What's the color of my walls? Well, it's Tiffany blue. It's the brightest ass blue. And he was like, why is this my favorite color, Lucy? And then he puts a mirror in front of her, and it's her eye color, and I'm just like, oh, it was so beautiful. God. There were so many signs. I loved it. So anyway,
that was such a good scene too.
It was a good scene. So go weigh in on our social media, see who you think has the better scene, and we'll announce it to see who wins. So let's
talk about some games.
Details. The details. How did this game between them begin? So I love this little quote that Lucy's thinking, and she says that love and hate are mirror versions of the same game, and you have to win. And why do you have to win? It's because it involves your heart and your ego. And I'm like, so true. So
it is
true.
so true.
Words of wisdom.
This is such a like clever concept. I loved it.
I feel like that's why I was so into this book, is because the way that Sally Thorne writes, it's so clever without being too pretentious. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not like, oh, I'm dropping words of wisdom and I know that this is going to stick with you for the rest of your life. She's just like a real person thinking real thoughts. And I'm like, I relate to that shit.
Yeah, I like that too.
They both work for a publishing house, and the publishing house has like an arranged marriage because they're a merger. And neither of the CEOs want to give up control. So Bexley from Bexley House, the Bexleys are like type A.
Yeah, I love the description of the two different houses, the people in the different houses.
I love it too. And like, Joshua is from Bexley Publishing House. He's like very straight-laced, very organized.
Business-oriented, all about the numbers.
Financial.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Gammons are the type B personality. They love magic and wonder of books. You know, they're the ones that, they're like us.
They're like the bohemian art lovers.
Pretty much.
In a nook with their book.
And Lucy comes from that, and she works for the CEO, the co-CEO, Elaine, and she's French. I love her.
I like how she even says, like, you know, I tried to buy a black business suit, but I just couldn't do it. And so she sticks to her quirky style.
Yeah, she said that she likes her style is like librarian chic or whatever. And I'm like,
I know, it's so adorable.
Own it, Lucy. Own it. So yeah, they still aren't cohesive after merging after 1 year, and Josh is organized and wears the same pattern of shirts every single day. And Lucy is disorganized and she's a free spirit. So I love that contrast.
Yeah, I do too.
Josh and Lucy have mini games, like we said before. And it's
so
like
childish.
This manufactured war, and they have these games that only them two know about. Right. And like a few of them are like the mirror game, where they have to do everything that the other is doing. Yeah. Like if they
just
pick
slightly
up a pencil,
after them.
Yes. So that's one of them. Actions. The staring game, where they just like stare at each other creepily. But, you know,
can you imagine doing
sexy
that?
Vibes across the room. Basically, that's what's happening, guys. It's like, whoa, sexual energy all up in there. I don't know how Elaine and Bexley took it. I'm like,
well, and how did Lucy not pick up on it? Like, she was just like hiding.
We're gonna get into
behind
Lucy.
A wall of denial.
We're gonna get into Lucy. I love her. She's like one of my favorites, but she is she has an interesting, unreliable narrative quality of her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they have a lot of games that they play with each other. And the ultimate aim of the game, for Lucy at least, is to make Josh cry or smile. It's really smile. That's what she really wants. Yeah. She acts like she wants to like hurt him or something, but she really just wants to make him smile. And she'll know which one it is whenever she wins. Whatever one happens first, she'll know.
Oh yeah, I just love these games. You're gonna go over all of them.
Games. Oh no, I was gonna save a little bit for later, but we could. I mean, they have the HR game where it's like, oh, you're saying something, I'm gonna port you for HR because it's inappropriate, and then they have the spying game where Lucy goes to his desk and like snoops around, and we'll talk a little bit about what she finds later. Yeah.
And then you're just so
predictable.
That one is hilarious.
That one's a good one. And then the how you doing? It's almost like they start off really nice, but then it devolves fast.
How you doing?
Yeah. How you doing? I always say it in Joey's voice from Friends.
That's how I feel.
That's how I say it.
And that's how I always think of Josh saying it. Because he's always the one who's saying it.
Mm-hmm. He does. He starts that. How did Josh and Lucy first meet? Well, this first meeting went a little something like this. Nice and friendly girl greets new colleague with a dazzling megawatt smile. How can you resist? Well, the boy doesn't smile back. He looks away, and girl feels dejected, like he stole her smile. It's in his pocket. And she's like, nope, he has one up on me. She doesn't understand because she's like an inherently friendly person. It's because he literally couldn't handle the amazingness of her smile. That's what happened. He knocked him on the ass. But anyway, they both do some heavy lifting in the company because their bosses, they're kind of like in their own world because they don't do much. Like Fat Little Dick always falls asleep at his desk, and then Ellen's like, I'm taking a sabbatical for my health, a health and wellness retreat. And so like Lucy and Josh are pretty much holding down the fort, you know? They're in charge of a lot of things, and Josh is in charge of sales and finance, and Lucy's in charge of editorial and marketing, which fits their personalities very well, I think.
Yeah. So Lucy is universally liked in the building. And Josh tells her that she is chronically addicted to making people adore her.
Ouch.
And that he sees people taking advantage of her. Like, there's this one coworker who's always like trying to get extensions, Julie or whatever her name is.
Monthly extensions.
Yeah,
not just like every once in a while.
I'm feeling so bad. Can I please turn in late?
I have a migraine. I have a
migraine. And Lucy she gets irritated every time it happens, but she allows it. And so that means she stays late and she has to sacrifice herself
the problem
to meet the deadline.
Exactly. It's a sacrifice. It's like they take upon the weight of the other person to make them feel better.
Right. And so Josh, she's a natural nurturer, but in this case, it's like she does it to, the nth degree, which is not
she's
healthy.
More on the extreme level of
that. And Josh is just like, why do you do this? Just say no. It's an easy word to say, no.
Yeah. Josh is very good at saying no. Like, he has no problem saying that.
Yeah, because he runs super tight ship. He has no time for playing around except for his games.
Yeah, except for the games with Lucy. There's always time.
Yeah, he always has time for that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Curious. Lucy thinks Mr. Bexley calls him Dr. Josh because she hears him calling him Dr. Josh a couple of times, but she thinks it's because he's so clinical,
which is true because he's so freaking organized, which is very rare for a guy.
And one time he even says like, "Don't call me that." Yeah. So we kind of get
like that
a hint.
Name, that nickname.
Yeah, we get a hint. There's something up with that. The most fun thing to me was when Lucy doesn't really enjoy the hating game because she feels like
it's almost like a defense mechanism. Like, oh, you don't like me, so I don't like you back.
Right. I'm not going to like you back, and I'm going to be one up on you.
Sounds
and I'm
juvenile,
win.
but it's not like really.
And she remarks constantly how he has more of her smiles and she has none of his. Like, she wants to be able to make him crack.
Lucy likes balance. She wants him to be even on an even playing field.
And one of the most fun things I noticed was when she sees him, she finally notices him doing these pencil markings in his calendar. Okay. And so, of course, when he has to go off to some, I don't know, meeting or whatever, she like sneaks over there, and checks it out.
Across the room because they have two separate desks across the room.
Right. And so it's so funny how she like sits in his chair and everything is trying to figure out the calendar, but she doesn't understand what all the tabulations are for. It's like letters,
he has
D and S.
It's only in pencil markings in the side. It's like X's
and
dots,
slashes, and then the letter D and S. And like, that's it. Like,
she's like, what is this? Let me take a picture and I will look at it later. Yeah. So that's a cool decoding mystery that we find out later.
And a cute, funny moment, which is also hugely embarrassing for Lucy, is when the delivery guy, Andy, delivers her Smurf to the office.
Oh my God, she's so adorable. I love her.
So she collects Smurfs. That's one of her things.
It reminds her of her dad because he used to bring them whenever he was coming back from like work trips, and he would bring her a Smurf.
Right, he would bring her a Smurf because
it's always like a little piece of home.
I know. And so she continues to collect them, but of course she didn't want Josh to know, but then Andy like lays it all out there and she's like hugely embarrassed, by
Didn't he say something to the effect of like, oh, I thought you were ordering your tiny little clothes? Because Lucy is like 5 foot around that.
She's a little bitty.
And Josh is, over 6 foot. So they have a big height discrepancy,
Right. And, and the sad thing is though, is he kind of hits a mark when he teases her about her family's farm. Sky Diamond Strawberries is the family
he thinks like they're
business.
Still kind of playing a game, but she interprets it a different way.
And she thinks he's trying to humiliate her.
Right, because she has dreams. She wants to be respected in her field, and it just, to her, that was hitting way too close to the mark. She wants to be taken seriously, and she just has a little bit of homesickness, guys.
Yeah, and then we do learn that she has some homesickness, and that her best friend was fired after the merger, and so they've not really kept up because she feels like
she kind of blamed her, like, why did
her
you
best
get
friend
to keep your job
blamed
and I
her
did not?
Right, for her
like,
being
you
fired.
could have done it. You're Helen's right.
You could have convinced them to keep me and you didn't.
Yeah.
And so she's been very lonely, and we see that in her, that she's really her highlights of the day are her fighting matches with Josh.
Right, exactly. That'd be my highlights of the day too.
Yeah.
So, I like the part where they go to this meeting and Lucy really notices another coworker for the first time. His name's Danny. And I do not like it because she notices Danny. Let me make that clear. I like it because Josh gives her this awesome glare, and I'm just like, I knew it. I'm like, you like her? I'm like, oh my God.
Don't even try to fight it.
Because she's just like, he's just doing his like frowny glare at me like he does all the time. I'm like,
yeah, because
no.
Danny starts flirting, and he's like the pretty boy in the office.
Right, and Lucy remarks, why did I not notice him before? Like, I was so consumed with other things.
Like this really attractive blonde.
Of course, I notice him right whenever he's leaving because he's quitting to go freelance. And so I love that part. And there's a little announcement at this meeting, and that little Dick and Ellen open up a new position, chief operating officer, and both Lucy and Josh want it real bad.
Right.
And but I find this kind of a little bit heartbreaking because Lucy tells Ellen that she does not want to stay on if Josh gets that position because she does not want to work underneath him. I'm like, what? No, Lucy.
I know.
Like, she can't handle it.
Yeah.
She can't handle him having one up on her again.
Like being in control of her,
yes,
you know?
Yes. She doesn't want to give him that much of her, that much control. So, whenever this slips out in the conversation, because she does kind of say it to Josh, he seems surprised. And I was like, right at that moment, I was like, they're playing two different games.
Two totally different games.
Totally different games.
She's playing the hating game.
She's playing the hating game, and he is playing
Catch Lucy.
Yes, pretty
How do
much.
I catch Lucy?
Pretty much. You can tell that they really enjoy playing this game with each other. Like, it's not just like, ooh, I hate you and like you make me so upset. It's like, they're getting like, their endorphins are just like going around because they are having a fun time with this.
Yeah, they're enjoying this game.
They really are. But that night, Lucy has a little bit of a dirty dream about Josh, don't we all? And she decides whenever he makes a little comment about her clothes and stuff like that, that whenever he gets the
maybe you should wear a sack dress. He said he was going to make her wear a sack dress when he got
like
the position.
The dress length would be knee length, but it would be to her ankles because she's so
tiny.
Short.
Yeah.
So she decides to get him back a little bit and wear this really super short black dress,
sexy dress
that's like right on her
with
butt,
like fishnet stockings
with
or
like
something,
rhinestones on them.
Because
she's quirky.
She's like,
and so she
quirky.
comes to work with that. She regrets it once she gets there. She's like, shit, why did I want to do this? But she comes to work and Josh is just like, date? You're going on a date?
And he can't get up from his desk either, which I find very interesting.
So Lucy's like, yeah, I'm going on a date.
Yeah,
He's like,
date.
Yeah, sure, date. Where are you going? And so she tells him like this random spot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what time? 7. And like he's writing it down, and and he's like, yeah, I'm going there too. And she's like, fuck. She's like, you're gonna come, and you're gonna watch me, and I'm gonna get called out. And so she's like, shit.
So
okay, no. She's like, oh, Danny, I can ask him.
Let's go
him.
ahead down and talk
Nobody
to
will be
Danny.
the wiser. But before she goes ask Danny, she gives him a little show. She's like, I had this dream last night.
Oh my God, it was so good.
And she tells him about her dream, which she really did have a dream about him.
While she's applying her flamethrower red lipstick.
Flamethrower red. And if you're not a part of Sally Thorne's Facebook group, they're called the Flamethrowers. Just a little... So anyway, cool. So she's applying her lipstick in the reflective wall tile mirror, and she's like slapping her ass, like talking about her dream, and she can tell like he's getting uncomfortable because he's like moving his seat around, and you can tell he's getting freaking hard from this dream. And I think that the sad part in hindsight, reading it again, is that he literally thinks that whenever Lucy's talking about I have this date, that she's talking about him.
Yeah.
And he thinks that the dream's about him, and it is. But Lucy's trying to play off that it's not.
Right. I know. That made me a little sad too.
So it was like, but Lucy.
I know,
like,
don't do that.
He thinks he's finally getting his shot. And what does she do? She goes on a date with Danny. Okay, but we have not got there yet. But anyway, I was just like, poor Josh. I will console you.
That was heartbreaking because you could kind of see it in the way he was described in that scene, that he was so sort of let down when he finds out she really does have a date.
Oh yeah. So whenever it's the end of the day, and they're going down the same elevator.
Oh my God.
And they're still kind of in this playful banter mode. But Lucy, I think this is whenever you really realize that she's an unreliable narrator, because he pulls the emergency stop on the elevator to where they stop, and he like corners her. In her mind, she's thinking he's going to kill me. And I'm like, Lucy. And he
Are you
says
being ridiculous?
He even says it because he like props her up on the like the bar
on the little bar, right?
And she's like,
up.
and I love it. He's like, join me up here because she's so short.
Yeah.
Like, join the adults up here. And
That's so good.
he can like tell that she's like getting scared, and he's like, I'm not gonna kill you. You're so dramatic. Like,
Yeah,
Jesus
like,
Christ, Lucy.
He's like, yeah. I almost chose this as my showdown scene
because it was hot as shit.
It was so hot, and it was so shocking. I was not expecting it
because
at all.
All of a sudden he just lays one on her, and it's hot.
And I love, he's like, I'm testing a theory. And that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, his theory is that she has it for him as bad as he has it for her.
Chemistry, bitch.
You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, and the poor thing, the brakes are pumped whenever he is like, yeah, so this fake date. And she was like, no, it's a real date. He was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's Danny. I'm going to meet Danny, which she had gone throughout the day. She had gone and be like, hey, you want to meet for drinks, like during the day.
Right.
And
of course, Danny's
just so
like,
that she
yes.
didn't want to look stupid in front of Josh. That was the whole reason, which I'm like, oh no, miscommunication. But
I totally would have done that.
It makes the story more interesting, so we'll allow it. Whenever they're on the way, Lucy kind of admits to him, like, I always wanted us to be friends.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we were friends.
And it was kind of a sad moment.
And he snapped and he was like, we'll never be friends, which I knew exactly what he meant.
Yeah.
But Lucy didn't. Lucy was like, okay, fine. And then she like jumps out of the car and like
so
goes
she gets
straight
all
to the
upset
restaurant.
and injured. Like, fine, you don't want to be my friend. Fuck you. Whatever.
Yeah, she's like, I don't understand why this person hates me so much, why they don't want to be my friend. And she's upset. She even like tells Danny like, oh, I'm going to go apply my makeup in the bathroom and goes. And Josh actually follows her in to hand her coat, but he's really checking on her and she's kind of crying. And she was like, okay, you win. She says like, you see me cry, you win. And he was like, is that what you think the goal of this is? It's really not. And the next day she gets some roses and it says you're always beautiful. And because she's like I just cried because Danny just said I was beautiful and all you do is hate me, you know. And so she was just feeling like so low. And I love the description of how pained he is that he hurt her. Yes. You know, and we find out later he even tells her like he never felt like such a piece of shit. I think that it's so great how there's just one line describing Josh's reaction, but the audience instantly knows what's going on in his mind, but Lucy's too consumed with her own emotions to notice. And the other thing, though, is, of course, she gets these roses. It says, you're always beautiful. She thinks they're from freaking Danny. I know. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I knew immediately. I was like, Josh sent them. Oh, yeah, Josh sent that. I knew it. And she was like, oh, Danny, you're so sweet. And, like, sends him a text being like, I love them. And he's just like, miscommunication, like, oh, cool. I know. So I love one of the next scenes. Is one of my favorites, though. Like, Lucy is thinking about, okay, she's got to, amp things up and get ready for this, applying for this new position. So she wants to be like, come up with some cool, innovative ideas. So she's like, we need a team bonding experience. Well, Josh grabs her like whatever it is, proposal, sheet and scribbles a bunch of stuff on it and then walks into their office and says, hey, we're going to do this team building thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, Josh. And so he changes her idea, which was like, I don't know, some kind of retreat thing. Yeah, just he like a says, we're going to do an office paintball, which I was super excited about this prospect. I'm like, yeah, hell yes, people. Yeah, I wanted to go. They would mix the Gammons and the Bexleys up on different teams. That was the whole thing. It's like a faster way to build trust. Right. Put them on a team whenever and they have to protect each other, running high, and communicate. So I liked Josh's I thought it was an awesome idea. Me too. And it made me want to go play paintball. Honestly. Yeah, I know. I was just like, with a team. Let's everybody fight for each other. So, of course, Josh makes sure that Lucy's on his team and and like not with Danny. She makes a note where like everybody else was rotating, but her and Josh were on the same team. And she was like, nah. Yeah. She changed that after. Yeah. But their first run, she talks about she's been feeling feverish too. So we on the bus get a hint that she's not feeling well. Queasy. Yeah, something's up. He even remarks on it like you look hot. Look pale. And she makes a joke like, I'm always hot. Something like that. Like brushing it off. Give me my mask and my suspenders and my gun. But the coolest thing is that, and they've got one person who's like recording how teams are interacting and stuff. Yeah, they're like the observers. So like award points, Yeah, and it's like one of the guys on one of the other teams like goes like, I don't know, Rambo
on frickin'.
Yeah, I think later on he says, like, I play a lot of video games.
He said, I play a lot of video games. I'm so sorry. I got carried away. I was like, I can totally see this. So when Rambo, what's his dude, goes off, like, there's a moment where she jumps in front of Josh and protects him and takes a bunch of hits. And then
because she is a team player. And she's like, we're going to fucking win. And she's like, I'm protecting you. I'm going to guard you with my little bitty body.
I know. I'm going to protect you, Josh. She, of course, gets nailed, like, painfully all over her stomach,
paintballs
her boobs,
super
like
painful.
Everywhere. It does hurt.
Super painful.
And then he quickly turns her into him
he
against the tree.
Fucking stop this asshole.
I know. And I love that he like cradles her. And of course you see the like observers like smirking in the corner.
Yeah,
taking
makes
notes. Yes, like, about this protective interaction. So by the end of the day, she's totally sick. Like she even threw up once out in the field or whatever. And
because they're out there all day. And could you imagine like being sick with like flu-like kind of symptoms and having to play paintball and sweating and just like, I'd be delirious at the end. And she kind of was at the end of the day. I really also like because Danny was like trying to check on her before Josh took over, and he was like, she's fine. I've got her.
Go away.
And I like how he was like holding her by like the scruff of her neck. Like he was just like propping her up. Like, I got her. Okay.
See, she's standing right next
to
me.
Go away, Danny.
Okay. So this moment with Josh, though, I love because this is the first time we really see his vulnerable side.
I have a confession.
Okay.
I have a super weakness for sick scenes, and it sounds very weird whenever I say it like that. I have a weird, just, if one of the characters, it does not matter if it's the guy or the girl, but if one of them gets sick and the other one is the one taking care of them, and it usually happens before
they discover
real
their
relationship
feelings.
is established. They're kind of like on the outs or whatever.
Right.
And I have a real weakness for this type of scene because I'm like, of course, there's one of them. They're kind of vulnerable. They're not in their right mind, so they're not going to remember it a little bit. And this actually happens in Mariana's Zapata's Lukov
and Jasmine.
Oh my God. It kills me.
That was when he called her baby.
Yes. Okay. So I have a weakness for this type of scene.
Me too.
So I was like,
you know why? Because I feel like these scenes are when, and it's always tends to be the guy taking care of the girl. That really gets to my heart. It's we see the hero as protector, like genuinely caring for her.
I think also, I mean, if you're dedicated enough to clean up someone's vomit, I mean, you're there to stay.
Get food for them and like wipe sweat off them, and they're looking like
it's not an easy job
disgusting.
Taking care of a person that's truly sick. And I don't mean like man sick where they have a cold and they think that it's the end of the world. I'm talking about truly sick.
Yeah. Well, and I think it shows genuine feelings and emotions because you're worried about how bad they feel. You know what I mean? So we learned some interesting things during this whole time because he gets seriously worried about her. Her temperature spikes up to like 104.
Which I'm like, holy shit, go to the hospital.
Me too. 104, your brain is scrambled. Like,
I was like, that deserves actual emergency room attention. But anyway, we got the next best thing. We got a Dr. Templeman coming in for a call.
His brother comes and makes a house call. So she wakes up and she's like, who is this other like hot dude in my house? She
even tells him, she's like, you're hot.
You are hot. And then I love that
Josh doesn't like
Josh
that.
Gets like all like sort of jealous about it. And then she looks at him up close. She's like, no, Josh is hotter.
I love it. That was adorable.
And the cool thing about her being sick, not that it's cool, but that she's sort of delirious and she just says all these things she feels,
It's
so
like
she
there's no filter.
Yeah. Some of her feelings are let out, know, about how she just wants to be his friend.
I feel like in real life, a lot of misunderstandings come from a lack of communication. Whenever people are sick like this, they lose that filter that makes them think twice about saying something that maybe could change their course.
Right.
And so I think that's why I also like the sick scenes.
That's
because
true. And
someone usually makes like a type of admission that maybe they don't remember in the long run, but it's like,
it adds a vulnerability to both characters that we don't get to see when they're on their game. You know what I mean? And so
which we see the change in like tone the next morning whenever Lucy's feeling a little bit
the
better.
next morning she's like feeling better, she's showered and whatever, and then she's like, don't take this just because you've seen me, like, don't like use this against me at work.
Yes, and he gets mad.
He's fierce. He's like really, Lucinda, calls her Lucinda and slams the door and leaves. And that broke my heart.
It did. And she regretted it immediately because she was like, we got someplace and I ruined it.
I like that she admitted immediately. It's like, I need to get him a gift and thank you gift for that.
Right. So, of course, Lucy feels bad the next day. She really wants to apologize because, of course, she says she's reiterated that she wants to be his friend. And that morning, Danny was like, hey, so what's going on? You want to ride to work? And he doesn't even work there anymore, but he wants to start up something with
He's
her.
obviously trying to, you know.
Yeah. I mean, he thought they had a connection and Lucy's beautiful, so why not? So anyway, he decides to drop her off. And then he mentions that Josh has this protective big brother attitude toward her and wants to get down at the office and confront her about it. And Lucy's
that
like,
is such a like two dogs pissing around.
Oh yeah, this is a dick measuring moment.
Oh,
like
yes.
definite dick measuring moment.
Oh my god, it was so
he
funny.
Goes up, and the way that he goes in hard on Josh. He's like, hey, so we need to talk about something. Like,
yeah,
we need to talk about this big brother attitude that you have, like wanting to make sure that it's cool, like, you know. And he was like, yeah, you can date my kid's sister or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like whatever.
Nobody's too good for my kid's sister.
Yes, that's what he says. And it's heavily sarcastic, but Lucy is very hurt by it because she doesn't want to be seen like that by Josh. She just doesn't know it yet. But she is hurt by it. And she finally realizes that Josh sent the red rose because she even texted, like Danny gave her daisies that morning and was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, thank you for the roses that you sent. And he was like, you meant daisies? And she's like, yes, these are daisies.
I know. And see, that was the thing too. I'm like, they didn't clarify. He still didn't say he didn't give them to
said
her.
Something like, what the fuck are you talking about roses? But I'm the person that would be like, explain.
Yeah, but then they come in that elevator and Danny goes, oh, nice, and looks at her keyboard.
There's a red rose on her keyboard. And
a single red rose.
I think it was there whenever I got here. You know? Oh my God, it breaks my heart.
And then he like yanks it away because he's so furious. He's
they have
jealous
a
about
little tussle, and then she gets cut by the thorns. And I was like, oh, symbolic. But anyway.
Yeah. Very good job.
So Lucy, she wants to make it up. And she doesn't want her ruining the moment to detract. Like, she really wants to be friends with him so bad. She's like, I'll do anything. And she's like, she even offers to go with him to his brother's wedding because she's kind of eavesdropping whenever she was sick. And she heard his brother say, hey, you haven't responded to our wedding RSVP, and we don't want what happened with the engagement party to happen. Like, oh, it's lost or whatever. So I want your answer now. And he's like, fine, I'll go. And so Lucy already picked up that he really doesn't want to go. And she's like, well, I'll be with you. I will be your moral support, and I'll go with you. And he's like, And
he's like really pissy. And he's like walking away from her the whole time in the office. She's kind of like following him around. Like, look, I'm trying to be
dog
nice.
with a bone.
Yeah.
So she eventually corners him in like a cleaning closet.
She's like, get in the cleaning closet. And he goes.
So she forces him in there, and I'm like,
oh God, that was the best scene. That's another awesome scene.
I like it whenever the heroine or hero let down their guard enough to like advance the story. I'm like, something's got to give.
Somebody's got to
play their cards. And so she suggests that they play the or something game, where they try out a new kind of relationship, because she did realize that he sent the roses, and she's like, oh, this means something. And she even tells him, she's like, kiss me, and he's like, and he was like, and she's like, well, touch me, and he was like, no, you do it. And so like, she's like, oh, is this the HR game? Like, I'm not gonna report you. And so like, she puts his hands like on her ass and like on the side of her boobs, and I'm just like, do it, Josh. Do it. Do her in the closet. I'm like, Elaine, little dick.
I was really waiting for him to lose control, but he did not.
He doesn't, which honestly, I like it more because
Me too.
He does ask her. He's like, no. He's like, I want you to go on this date with Danny, and I want you to let him kiss you. And if whenever he kisses you, it feels better than whenever the kiss that I gave you, then fine, go on and date him. But if it doesn't, I want you to come back to me, and I want you to tell me that I am better.
Yes. And so then you can never kiss him again.
Yes.
That's
and
the other caveat.
Never kiss him again. Like,
like it's over.
So Lucy's like, cool.
Sure,
And
no problem.
But then later on, whenever they're actually sitting in their desk, she kind of adds a little caveat, and she's like, okay, cool, we can do this, but if we do play this new or something game, it's only going to happen once. Like, if it involves sex, it will only be once. And Josh is like, okay. So she kind of throws down the gauntlet, and that's important because after, obviously, she does not feel that way about Danny. So after her date, and she doesn't feel that way about Danny, she goes to see Josh, and he doesn't really do much with her at their apartment. Like, he doesn't advance
like, I gotta
it sexually.
Make it count, shortcake.
Exactly.
So he's like, gonna wait.
Because he's not playing for this one night
He's not
stand
playing for the one night
bullshit.
stand. Exactly.
He is playing for the long game. And so he's like, well, she's expecting for me to hit it and quit it, so I'm not going to do that.
Exactly.
I'm going to spend time with her because, hey, it's a classic Lucy trait to run away. Like,
yes,
whenever
her freak out moments.
Yes, she gets a lot of freak out moments. So he like doesn't let her, and he's like, "No, you're gonna come up to my apartment because it's only fair because I saw yours." So there's this whole apartment scene where he lets her snoop around. I love it. I love it so much because we get a little glimpse into more of Josh.
I know. I love the apartment scene.
I think what really catapults a book into like my top echelon of books is whenever the guy is one of the ones that is the first to the like committed stage of the relationship.
Yes.
And this is where Josh is. He is already
It's the
like,
reason I love Truth or Beard so much.
Right, exactly. He's already into the committed stage and he wants more, and I really like that. Like sometimes I get
Lucy
tired
just
of the
hasn't
guy.
figured it out.
Right. I get tired of the guy who just like, oh, well, I'm a commitment phobe. And I want to play the game.
Lame.
So I think that's why I like.
So let's
Josh
talk
and
about
Lucy.
some of the things that Lucy discovers in her
Oh my God,
snoop
she
fest
discovers
around the apartment.
so many interesting
Okay,
things.
one of the things I loved is she found the paper origami bird that she flicked at him one day, like in a
adorable.
conference meeting or something.
That's adorable.
Yes. So
and he kept that.
Kept it. He took
and he
it
also
home.
kept the Post-it that she blotted her
The
flamethrower
Post-it-
red lipstick.
Yes, it's
and
in
put
one
it
of
on
the
his fridge.
I think it might have been in the black dress scene. She like blots her lipstick on this blue Post-it
he gets a hard on
and
like
sticks it to
every
him.
single time that she puts lipstick on.
Yeah, we can tell he's got a fetish about her lips and that red lipstick. And then she finds his medical textbooks. A lot of them have like, like penises in them and stuff. I thought that was funny. She's like trying to be all grown up and look through them.
So I think that's one of the interesting things too, because we already have the Dr. Josh stuff and then he has medical textbooks. And then
so there's a past here.
He makes a little comment saying that I was pre-med before.
Yeah, I
and
said
then
I was
switched
pre-med
out.
before.
And then we find out later about his history with all the pre-med
with the
stuff.
family. He has like, I think
that's a lot of baggage.
And one of the big discoveries is that his room is Robin's egg blue. And she asks if it's his favorite color, and he says yes. But he has like he's like tight and tense when he responds to her about
he's
this.
He's expecting her to want to know more information about it, and she doesn't ask any more about it. She's just like, oh, okay, cool. That's your favorite color, which we found out later.
It's pretty important.
Because the favorite scene that I had, that is the color of her eyes.
I know.
And he thought that he was caught. He really did. Yeah. He thought that this was the moment that she would discover his like obsession with her.
And he painted it like the week of the merger.
Yeah.
Like he was
the first day that he met her
and
and she smiled at him.
Yes.
He knew.
He was like swept away.
Oh my God. So whenever he walks her down and says goodnight, she says that she'll see him tomorrow. And Josh says, no, I have the day off because I have an appointment.
Yes.
You know what it's for? Because I'm going to spoil it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is spoiler sections.
Yes.
He is interviewing already at this very moment. They've like barely kissed by this point. And he's interviewing for other jobs because he's in love with Lucy and he does not want to lose her over a stupid job competition.
I know.
But she doesn't know this
And you know
yet.
what I discovered the night that so back when she was sick, he said, if there was a way to change the hating game, if there was a way to continue the or something game, would you want me to? And she's like delirious and whatever, and she plays it off. But as she drifts off, she said, of course I would.
Yeah.
And then now he's got this interview.
Right. Because Lucy's important and the relationship's important. So I just love that it's very subtle. All he says is he has an appointment and she's like, oh, okay, cool. But in hindsight, it's like, that's whenever he was interviewing.
He never misses
other
work,
jobs.
so why is he missing work?
Right.
You know,
so I love it.
Up.
I love it so much. So the next day, Lucy's missing Josh a lot, and then she ends up by texting him and actually calling him.
Yeah.
And she
then
calls
throwing
him,
the phone
hangs
across
up.
the room.
She calls him, hangs up, and then he calls back, and he's like, "Hey, so you called?
What's up?
I love it.
I had a missed call."
So Lucy just wants to hang out with him, and he's like, "Well, I guess you can come over tonight." Josh tells a little bit about his history with medical school.
Yeah, he starts to open up a little bit here.
Yes, and says that there's generations of Dr. Templemans, and Josh is the first to quit.
Yes.
1 year after his dad made him watch an autopsy, but that is not the full story. We will learn the full story
there's
later.
a lot more to it.
There's a ton of tension, and I feel so bad. But we do learn a little bit of a hint. We got it with his brother, Patrick, but he does not like nice guys. And there's a good reason, a deeper psychological reason why he doesn't like nice guys. But that's why he doesn't like Danny, because Danny's a nice guy. So get those nice guys away.
I know. So then they start the staring game at work. And the staring game used to be them trying to make each other smile or crack. And now it's become this sort of erotic tension between them. Like the staring game is like, fuck me eyes, you know?
Pretty much.
Across in the office.
She like wore her librarian cheek because he admitted that was like a turn on.
She libraried it up, baby.
And she's like, messing with her hair.
She's
and he's
pinned it all up. Putting her red lipstick on.
It's getting hot in here, but then little fat Dick has to walk in and ruin it with his licentious looks.
I know. He's like a total lecher. And we notice in an earlier scene that he's like always staring. He'll go and talk to her to stare at her tits.
She even notes she looks down at her blouse and that she was buttoned up like all the way up.
Yeah, she's like, I'm completely buttoned up.
Cleavage.
What is he staring at? Just the form of my breasts? Calls him out.
Oh, but the reason that she calls him out is because Josh encourages her to stand up for herself.
Yeah, that's in a later scene. She's like, what exactly are you looking at? That's in a later scene.
Well, I'm talking about Julie. Whenever Julie calls for another extension.
Yes. Oh, God.
And Josh is like, we're not ignoring this. You need to stand up to her.
Yeah, that's it. Because she's like, I'll let it go to voicemail. He's like, no, you won't.
God, it's such a good scene because I love whenever they encourage each other to be better versions of themselves.
See, and that's to me like true partners, you know, like, I mean, I don't know. I personally feel that way. Like me and my husband are that way. We always try to like back each other up and support each other. And I just love this about them because it feels real to me.
And if you're feeling insecure in a certain area of your life, it's the job of the partner to be
exactly.
Like, no,
that's
like,
there to build you up,
cheer you on.
And yes, and help you like get over these, issues or whatever it is. So once they're alone though, Josh, because he gets pissed off that Bexley is staring at her and he can't stand it because he wants, that's his boss.
Yes,
so he
and
can't
then
really
Bexley,
tell
like,
him.
brings up the interview and the competition.
He wants to be like, fuck off,
moment.
dude, stop looking at her, but he can't.
And so Josh makes a little comment saying that he doesn't need help beating her because like Bexley made a comment about
He's like, I don't need help beating her.
Yeah, and so Lucy's kind of crestfallen. She's like, oh, that's the way it is. I'm glad that you reminded me of our position. Like, forgot that we were playing the hating game.
It's because he never plans on interviewing and trying to beat her. Come on, Lucy. Seriously?
Poor Luce.
He loves you.
Poor Luce.
I know.
But anyway, so he brings up the wedding.
The wedding. He's like, well, I don't care what happened. You promised to go to the wedding with me, and you're not backing out. You're going to be my moral support. So bring it back. Which I think that on Friday.
Key word, moral support. So that gets Lucy's gears going. So on Friday, Josh is arguing with Mr. Bexley in his office. And Friday, that's the day of the wedding. They're going to leave after work. And so while they're arguing, Ellen rushes over, and then Jeanette from HR. She arrives later, and Lucy's like, what the fuck is going on?
Hilarious. Everybody's in there fighting and screaming, but she doesn't know what's happening.
She's like, what's going on? And then she also thinks, she's like, whenever Helen comes out, she's like, is he doing a pre-interview interview?
Yeah,
like,
are y'all offering him the job?
Yes. And she's
like,
so worried about this
like,
because
that's not happening.
She does not understand this game that they're really playing.
Jeanette.
And Josh just won't tell her, won't elaborate, and just be like, it's fine. It's just like professional differences. Do you know why? What he was doing? We'll tell you later. I'm just joking. So on the 4-hour drive, they clear up a few things.
Yeah.
And Josh kind of explains why he put Lucy last for paintball, and it clears up her perception of that day. And she admits that her dream and her subsequent little black dress was all because of Josh.
Always about him.
And also she reveals that the date with Danny was never planned until he did not believe that she didn't have a date. And he was like, I caused this?
He's like,
I caused this fucking guy sniffing around you because of me. Thanks. Like, good job, Josh. He's mad at himself.
Yeah, he was mad. He was pissed at himself. He's like, I can't believe I was the one who drove you to that dude Danny.
And I think it's really, really, it broke my heart whenever he said, you wouldn't have been alone going to the bar that you planned. I would have been there with you. That's why he was asking the time and the place, because he thought, I'm finally getting somewhere with her. Yes. She's telling me subconsciously that it's me that she's imagining, and that's who she wants to be on a date with. And oh God, it breaks my heart so much. So they do make it to the wedding venue, and they're put in the same room, which is always a good sign for us. So they get in the room, and cue clothes being ripped off. I'm like, fuck yes, naked Josh.
Finally.
Give me naked Josh. So Josh as par for the course for Josh, he tries to slow Lucy down, but there's no slowing down this runaway Lucy train because she wants to see Josh naked. And
it was such a sexy scene.
Because he's been teasing her all week. Every time that they go to his house, it's just a big old tease.
Yeah, because he kept saying, I need more time with you, you know.
Right. So Lucy suggests a special little game called Who Comes First? And she's like, also known as gold medal, silver medal,
gold
because
medal,
you both win.
That's
but,
what they both,
you know, one just goes first.
That was Josh's name for it, gold medal, silver medal.
I love it. I loved it. And, but of course they're interrupted by Josh's mom
because the mom needs help downstairs with the flowers.
Help and Josh helps.
Yeah.
But it was a deliciously sexy scene because I'm like, finally these kids have like actual hands on each other.
Right.
The witty banner, it's like, I think I love sex scenes even more whenever the people don't take themselves too seriously and they joke around.
Yeah.
It makes the sex scene even more intimate because people are not trying to be... I have a problem with people thinking that sex needs to be serious all the time.
Right.
All the time. I'm like, no, you can't be turned on 100. Like, there's a time and a place whenever,
I mean, there can be like emotion. There can be emotional sex. You know what I mean? There can be those moments, of course. But then there's also like, you know, the fun sex.
I'm sorry. I like to laugh while I have sex. I like to have fun. Okay. So sex is supposed to be fun, people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sex is fun.
Laugh at yourself.
You learned it here first.
Nothing is perfect. There's no such thing as choreographed sex besides movies. So
hashtag sex is
get
fun. You learned it here first.
So anyway,
so then the next day, because she goes to sleep, he comes in, he snuggles up behind her.
A lot of things happen at this wedding.
Yeah. So then, and like, I hated his dad's speech
at the wedding. That was horrible.
What an asshat. So he deliberately says, and I'm quoting, Mindy, might I say, you've chosen an outstanding templeman to marry. So all of us get it immediately that apparently Mindy and Josh had a thing together.
Right. We're reading between these lines, and we find that super soon because we find out that Mindy was Josh's last girlfriend.
Yeah, because he's like, Josh, because and this is what just really upsets me too, is that Lucy's like, what is going on? Your dad's speech was so freaking weird. He's like, look, I got to run to the restroom. I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you this whole sad tale. While he's gone, she decides to go and talk to the bride and congratulate her.
Mindy comes up to her.
Or Mindy comes up to her or something. And then so they have, and then Mindy's like, well, I'm so glad you know, we dated. And
but that doesn't bother me as much because I think that this is where Sally Thorne does something right. Is she doesn't make Mindy like a vindictive ex.
No, she
or
wasn't
a person who's like territorial and needs to have the attention of both brothers. Like, Mindy is truly in love with Patrick. Yes. She even says, like, me and Josh never would have worked.
It never would have worked out. I never had him.
His attitude. He got cold and I didn't know how to deal with it. And so that's why I turned to Patrick to try to figure out, like, what's going on. What can I do with Josh or whatever? And that's how they got closer. And then after she and Josh broke up, that's why.
Right. And she even tells Lucy, you know, you have his heart. But of course, Lucy is dying inside because she's like,
because,
you know,
she asked so many times what's going on, and Josh never.
And he wouldn't tell her. And that's what upset me. He was about to tell her, and then he goes to the bathroom, and then
I don't know. I was still upset with Josh because I was like, if that would be me, I would be like, you're on my fucking shit list, and you got some groveling to do.
I would have been bawling, crying.
Because I think it's because, like I said, it's the planner in me, and I need to know things ahead of time. So that would truly upset me if there was something that you could have made me be aware of and be more prepared for.
And he even says, though, he's like, I knew you would have freaked out. She's like, well, why didn't you tell me days ago? He said, then you never would have come. And that's the thing. She probably would not have.
And I agree. And I think that the only reason why it works is because she's written that into Lucy's character.
Right.
That she is a runner. She is a person that gets
and he knew he
overwhelmed
was not going to let her
and wants
run.
to kind of take, she's like the person that takes one step forward and two steps back.
Yeah.
And she likes to overthink things and she gets a little freaked out. So
I think that's why Josh takes his time and is very slow with her physically and everything. He's trying to like woo her in and warm her into like
he wants to
understanding
make sure that
their
she knows
feelings.
that it's more than
exactly.
He doesn't want her to misinterpret it as something that's just physical. But I do like the part before she and Josh have their little, you know, actual come to Jesus meeting about what the fuck's going on. Josh's mom goes talk to him. I mean, her.
She was that
Josh's
was a good
mom,
scene.
Elaine, is adorable, and she goes talk to Lucy. She tells Lucy that Josh and his father are very similar in personality, and that Josh's nickname for Patrick is Mr. Nice Guy, which we already know that he does not like nice guys. And Patrick is an open book and Josh is a safety deposit box. And I love that analogy. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Like there's more work to get into Josh. Like some people are just more open with themselves, can share about themselves. But Josh is more closed off. He's less trusting and you might have to work a little bit harder, but it's worth it. And she says that. She's like, look, my husband's the same way. And we're finally getting somewhere with Lucy and Josh opening up and saying that he didn't want to dump all of his baggage on her. I mean, like, I understand that because they're not even like defined now. So I do get Josh's point. I'm not saying I don't get his point, but you know what I'm saying? I just feel like he just has a lot of insecurities that we're unaware of.
Well, and a lot of it stems from, he even says that, you know, every girl I've dated is pretty much told me I'm not relationship material. And that whole scene where he admits everything about his dad, how, you know.
Oh my God, quit. I'm going to cry.
It was heartbreakingly. He said, you know, I've been terrified to come here because of my dad. He's like, I'm afraid of my fucking dad. And
his dad is a fucking asshole.
It was so heart-wrenching because he was opening up. He's like, all I've ever done is tried to make him proud of me or whatever. And all I've gotten is nothing. Like, he's like, Patrick, when he like passed his pre-med whatever, he got his grandfather's Rolex. He's like, when I did, dad didn't even show up for the party.
Yes,
like,
he had to work. He couldn't get time off.
He couldn't even change his schedule enough to show up.
Such an asshole.
And so
it's like he treated Josh as a lesser person for doing the same exact things that Patrick was doing. And that's whenever he decided, you know what, I don't even want to do this because if I go down this path, I will never please him. So I'm going to quit and I'm going to go into the business career. I'm going to get my MBA.
Led into Lucy.
Yes.
So we finally get the makeup scene, which was amazing.
Oh my God.
Okay. So what's so hilarious to me is I loved when they're finally having sex, guys, and it was awesome.
You know, I love the part whenever they're kind of laying down, rubbing on each other, and Lucy kind of pulls him on to her.
Yes.
And he says that he's heavy and that he's going to squish her, and she's like, you know, I've had a good life. I've had a
good life. So.
But I think that really resonated with me because I don't know, what is it about like feeling the weight of another person
I don't know.
on you? It's like, it feels good. Like it just like the weight, like a security blanket. Like you can lay on me and it feels fine.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't know. I like it.
I know.
Like,
me too. And I've seen this in a couple of other romance books too. So it's not like just us.
No.
And she's like, we've never played the staring game with you inside me. That was a good line.
That was such a good line. Also, they do have some like slight shower sex, but they don't stay in the shower. But anyway, I just want to say shower sex is very hard. So sometimes whenever it's written to a novel, I'm like, no, slippery, slipping in hospital. That's what I think.
Be careful. Is that a glass door or is that a
shower
vinyl?
Sex is not all it's cracked up to be.
Y'all could get hurt yourselves.
Yeah, unless you have like those showers that have like the slab, the seat that like you can actually like those, you know, those huge ass marble showers with like the big ledge.
That you're supposed to like shave your legs on.
Those are fine. You can probably have safe shower sex there.
Yeah, it doubles for sex chairs in the shower.
Normal showers like hotel showers,
not so much. Unless they were in a fancy hotel though. Remember, they talked about how expensive it was.
It's true because
so it wasn't like
doctors. His mom's a doctor.
This was not Holiday Inn, you know.
It wasn't, but you know, still.
Anyway,
I just want them to be safe and alive and happy and HEA.
Well, he found her G-spot, so all was well.
All's well that ends well with the G-spot.
All right, let's get to the wedding breakfast. My big scene.
Oh hell yeah! So whenever Josh wakes up in the morning and they're getting ready, he's like ready to jet. He's like, okay, let's go.
Right, let's get out of here.
No, your mom says that there's a wedding breakfast, so we're going to go. So whenever they're walking in, Josh is like, I'll get our plates. And she's like, cool, walks up to the table and she realizes that there's no extra seats. And she's like, hurry quick. And Elaine, which is Josh's mom, is like, okay, find some seats. Like they both are freaking out because Lucy makes the observation that they're only 5 minutes late, but there was no extra seats. So they weren't expected to come. And she does not want Josh's feelings to be hurt.
Right. Like we weren't expecting you to show up and we didn't think about you.
Right. She doesn't want Josh to feel dismissed.
I like that the mom is thinking about him quickly.
Okay. His mom is amazing. I love her. So anyway, Lucy decides to leave the table for 1 minute.
Yeah, and he's like, wait. She's like, I'm just getting coffee. I'll be right back.
Josh does not want her to leave the table, but she's like, I'm just going to get coffee.
Like, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So she's getting coffee, and then she hears like raised voices, and she's like, fuck. So she runs back over there.
Yeah.
And his dad is being an uber asshole. Like, how can you get to this level of asshole in literally 2 months?
Douchebag.
And 2 minutes later, and he's saying any monkey can get an MBA. And Lucy is so just like, how the fuck did you degrade into this? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So she butts in. Anthony makes a comment about Lucy. Josh defends Lucy. Elaine's like, no, quit it. And defends both Josh and Lucy and tells her husband to be quiet.
Yeah.
But Lucy is not done. She's like, no. She tears into Anthony about Josh and says how hard he works. And it's fan-fucking-tastic.
This is one of the best. When I read this scene, I was like, this is the most epic, fuck you scene, to a family and standing up for another person.
Explains how... I don't want to say like being feared is a good thing, but she does say like Josh is so respected that people want to make a good impression with him that they're afraid to make a bad impression with him.
And I love that she's like, I know him better than you do. You don't know anything about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just is like totally,
I work with him every day.
You shut up and listen to me for a minute, Mr. Dr. Anthony.
I like it because he's so used to being the big dog. Yes, and like she shuts him down.
Little
also,
Lucy.
one of my favorite lines is she says, "I'm sorry, I'm making a scene. I like all of you except you," and she points to the dad.
I like all of you except you. I don't like you. I know. I love
tell
that.
It like it is, sister. And then right before they leave, she's like, Elaine, it was a pleasure. And I love meeting you. Mindy, Patrick, congratulations. Have a good time on the honeymoon. Anthony, it's been real.
Yeah. It's like
mic drop.
I know. Peace out. Come on, let's go, babe.
Like nobody. Josh even makes a comment. She was like, "I told your dad, it's been real," and he was like, "Yes, it was fucking epic." And she's like those people who are writing what teens say, but nobody really says it, and I just like said it. I just love the realness of it all. Josh loves that he defended her because
Josh was like, if he wasn't in love with her before, like.
This sealed the deal.
That was it. He was head over heels.
Wife that. Okay.
Yes.
That's what happens. So they're back at Josh's apartment.
Oh,
and
yay.
she realizes
the love scene.
That
I love
she's
scene.
totally in love with him. Like this is not, she just doesn't want this meaningless relationship.
Yeah, she's panicking. She's panicking when she
like
realizes
as
how
she's
overwhelming.
Riding the elevator, it's like mounting inside of her and she's freaking out, does not know what to do because I feel like she just doesn't understand the level of commitment that Josh is already at.
Yeah, he's been there.
He has been there. He definitely won the game with that one because he was there way before her.
I beat you to the I love you game.
Yes, pretty much. She realizes that she's always loved him and that every game was an excuse to interact with him, which I thought was so...
That is cool.
It's the best summarization of what they were doing. So we do get the revelation that Josh's bedroom color is her eyes, which is beautiful.
Yes,
and that's my I love you
the
scene.
robin's egg blue.
He also reveals the most interesting thing that he resigned, and he not only did he resign, he took a job at a rival company.
The rival company's
it's like they're still kind of like not in the
hating
game, but they're still competing against each other because she was like, "No, we'll never know who was better if you resign and don't go for the job." And he was like, "It's fine. It's fine. I've already worked that out. I'm diabolical.
Yeah.
I am working for the rival company. And I've also already put in a clause in there. I admitted to them that I have a conflict of interest, that I'm in love with the future COO of B&G." And I was
so
like,
good.
Quit it, Josh. Quit it.
Josh
I honestly can't handle his level of commitment to Lucy because it's so wonderful.
He is, to me, like the best romance hero. Sally Thorne was just...
He's
off
gorgeous.
the walls, like fucking amazing.
Inside and out. Whenever I say gorgeous, I'm talking about his like inner self.
Yeah, his beauty is inside and out. And I just loved every single thing about him. But his, like you said, when he fell for her, he fell hard and he started pursuing her then with the little games.
Yeah.
It was just awesome.
I cannot wait to see what else Sally Thorne has in store.
Me either. I've already pre-ordered.
So did I. Okay, so her second book is 99% Mine, and it'll be available on January 29th. And I cannot wait to see what she has in store for us because, I mean, if her debut novel was so good.
I know.
What could the second novel be?
I know.
So I'm excited
super
about
excited.
Darcy and Tom, and I'm just like Darcy.
Mhm.
So I love, everyone knows that we love Mr. Darcy, and Darcy is the girl, but I'm just saying, any book with Darcy in it's gonna
I know.
be
I'm
good. So
like, are we gonna have a little play here? But you know what's interesting is they do have a sort of Darcy-Lizzie relationship, that sort of contentious relationship.
oh yeah, Josh
That
and
hate to love,
Yeah.
you know, which is awesome.
it's my favorite. That's why
Yeah.
I love Pride and
Me
Prejudice
too,
so
me
much, and
too.
you will frequently hear us mention it, and I'm sorry, but it's life. If you want to know a little bit of interesting extras included, there is an epilogue, a bonus epilogue in 99% Mine featuring Josh and Lucy. So if you want to get a little bit of an extended view of them, you have to pick up 99% Mine. That's
Mhm.
super smart of her, because
I
I would
know.
have bought 99% Mine
Just to get that epilogue.
Get the epilogue.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've already one-clicked, pre-ordered. Can't wait.
So we hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to the next one, where we'll be discussing Burn for Me by Ilona Andrews.
Yes.
Oh my God, Mad Rogan. I'm just throwing
Rogan.
that out there.
Fucking hot.
I don't know if I'm prepared for this.
I am. I'm totally prepared.
Yeah.
Dipping back into paranormal people and
I
like
love
Mad
paranormal
Rogan
so much.
Oh, God.
Woohoo, baby. He's so sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for listening.
This goes out to all the fangirls.
Life's better with a little HEA.